it's Tyrone the Buff Pit Wolf back at it today. So I know quite a few people as of right now actually who have asked me how I learned about the furry fandom and when I decided to become a part of it. Well, I'm just gonna tell you all. I grew up watching Disney movies. Lady and the Tramp, The Lion King, and 101 Dalmatians being a few of my favorites. I always loved the idea of talking animals, and when the Disney sitcom Dog with a Blog released, you better believe I was obsessed with it. And as far as books, I loved reading Wishbone and Hank the Cowdog in my free time. So I've always had a love for talking animals, movies about talking animals, and I've always been an animal lover in general. I always felt like my spirit animal was some sort of canine, since I had two dogs of my own. Now I have three, which I feel really at one with. I felt like we were a pack. Despite my obsession with animals in general, I'd say my introduction to the furry fandom started after my brother, who is now 7, was born. Mom was going through her third divorce now, considering my little brother's father cheated on her while they were still married and she was selling her house, and me and my grandparents had raised concerns about the baby having to live in a house with no furniture, since the house was empty, since we were selling it. So we moved in with my grandparents. Living with my grandparents was difficult for multiple reasons, and this time of my life, alongside my abusive ex-stepdads being around, my most recent breakup, and my parents going to court, this was an extremely hard time in my life. As hard as this part of my life was, there was one thing that made life worth living for me, and that was spending time in the basement. No yelling adults around, no crying baby, just me, alone, with an iPad in hand. I spent this time watching Pound Puppies, both the 2010 and the 1986 version. Pound Puppies was so amazing, and eventually I got onto the internet and found people who also liked Pound Puppies, similar to how I do. I talked to a few of them, and one of them mentioned their fursona. I asked what a fursona was, and they told me, well, it's essentially just an animal version of yourself. So I thought, hey, that's pretty cool, and made my own that evening. My first fursona was a gray pit bull, which I originally named Gray. Gray's design changed throughout the years, and her species too. She started as a pit bull, which was made into a pit bull German Shepherd mix later, and then a ragdog cat and pug hybrid, who I created during my middle school years. It was like the awkward, overly edgy fursona, which I changed during my 8th grade year, which was technically the same species, with a mix of golden retriever, who I named PJ. I used it for a brief while before I got into a relationship with a guy who despised the furry fandom, and I discarded that fursona. After we broke up, I got back into the furry fandom and started to become more independent again. And I made a new fursona. She was a pit wolf who was also named PJ, and she was kinda just like the ragdoll pug hybrid, except a lot less extra and a bit bigger. After coming out as trans, I ended up changing my fursona again to Tyrone. Tyrone essentially just looked like PJ, except a lot more masculine looking and without the pink fluff on his head. He was the same shade of gray and wore a pair of glasses similar to the ones I'm supposed to be wearing, but I don't because I keep losing the things. I also made a second fursona, a dino bear. Things seemed to be going great. I was a furry again. I had found a new girlfriend who I loved with all my heart, and I was finally getting somewhat comfortable in my body. But all good things come to an end. My girlfriend had abandoned me, and it became a whole big complicated situation. It broke me. I didn't sleep or eat for days on end, and I found a comment she'd made on an Instagram post saying, my ex was a furry, and he scared the shit out of me. And I broke down in tears. I was devastated. I felt so alone. I couldn't go somewhere without breaking down in the middle of the floor. I carried a stuffed animal. I was generally ill from everything, and due to my temporary heart condition and blood pressure issues that developed, as well as my increase of unhealthy eating habits, I thought I was gonna die. Eventually, I talked to some of my old friends I had kind of not talked to that much or paid much attention to while dating that girl. And if any of you are watching this, I'm sorry. I love you guys. You guys were important, and I shouldn't have prioritized one person over everyone else. After thinking, I finally decided to become a furry again. I made a poll asking whether I should revamp the pit wolf as my fursona or the dino bear as my fursona, and the voters said pit wolf. So I remade him to help me let go of the past and move on to the future. I want to be a different person. As hard as it may be, I want to grow. I want everything I've been through not to break me, but to make me a stronger person. I love this fandom, and I won't stop being a furry until the day I die. I know that I belong in the furry fandom, and nobody is ever going to convince me otherwise. Anyway, that's basically the story of how I learned about the furry fandom and how I became a furry. And for anyone out there who wants to be a furry, no matter what people may tell you it's a bad idea because of the negative aspect of it, I'd say everything has its bad, and the best things usually don't come easy. It's worth it to be in this fandom. Even though there are bad apples, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because this is your story. You're the main character. It's not about the bad people and what they do. It's about you. It's about making yourself happy and doing good for yourself and for others. And though there are bad people in this fandom, we shouldn't let them put us in fear, because we are so much greater than what any bad person in the fandom may do or say. Join the fandom. I welcome you with open arms.
You want the best of my heart, you just